Ever thought your spare change was just, well, spare? Well, think again. You could be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. And I'm not talking about a few bucks here. I'm talking about millions. Yep, you heard that right. In today's video, we're diving into the wild world of the 1980 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, which is worth a whopping $1.80 million. No, I didn't add an extra zero by accident. Stay tuned to find out why this little penny could be your golden ticket. But first, smacks the penny into the camera. Let's talk about how you might already have one of these bad boys stashed away in your change jar. So, let's break it down. In 1980, the US Mint was cranking out pennies like nobody's business. But here's the twist. One of them, just one single penny, slipped through the cracks. See, the US Mint usually stamps a mint mark on coins to show which mint they came from. Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, you name it. But for some reason, a very small batch of 1980 pennies came out without a mint mark. Now, you might be thinking, that's a mistake, right? So, it's not worth much, right? Wrong. Oh, so wrong. Let's start with the basics. A regular 1980 penny? Worth, what? A cent? Maybe a couple cents if it's in great condition. But the 1980 Mint Mark penny? Oh, that's a whole different animal. Because of its rarity, this particular penny is now valued at a mind-blowing $1.8 million. Yeah, I know. You probably just looked down at your change jar like, did I miss something? And hey, I wouldn't blame you. It's crazy to think that a penny, something so small you could lose it between the couch cushions, could be worth more than some of the houses on my street. Only a few of these error pennies are out there, and they are practically like unicorns in the coin world. So, how do you know if you've got one? Well, it's all about the details. The first thing you want to check for is the absence of the mint mark. If you look at the reverse side of the penny, you should see a tiny letter that shows where the coin was minted. But with this rare 1980 penny, that mark is missing. Now, it's not just any old missing mint mark that makes this penny so valuable. There's a whole lot of coin history behind it. The 1980 Mint Mark penny is tied to a little error at the US Mint. These coins were supposed to be made in Philadelphia, but due to a mix-up, they were stamped without that telltale P. So, it's not just rare, it's historic. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how do I find one? Well, the bad news is, these things are extremely rare. But here's the good news. They do pop up occasionally at auctions or, get this, sometimes in people's loose change. I'm not saying you should go digging through pennies at the gas station, but hey, a little luck never hurt anyone. And speaking of luck, let me tell you a little story. A couple of years ago, I was out at a flea market, just like any other Saturday, right? I'm sifting through a box of old coins, and I find a penny that looks a little off. It wasn't the 1980 Mint Mark penny, but it was an error coin, worth a few $100. I almost didn't buy it because I thought, nah, it's probably not worth much. But something told me to go for it. Guess what? I sold that penny for a nice profit. And it just goes to show, sometimes a little hunch and a few bucks spent can pay off big time. So, if you've got a bunch of loose change, it might be worth taking a closer look. The 1980 Mint Mark penny is a great example of how even the smallest errors can lead to huge paydays. And hey, it doesn't hurt to check your collection. You never know. You might just find that one in a million. Alright, so what have we learned today? Well, one thing's for sure. That little 1980 penny in your change jar could be worth way more than you thought. The 1980 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is an incredibly rare and valuable coin that's worth a staggering $1.8 million. But the truth is, finding one is like winning the coin collector's lottery. So don't go emptying your pockets just yet. But if you've got a hunch or a keen eye for rare coins, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. And remember, coin collecting isn't just about luck. It's about knowledge, strategy, and knowing what to look for. If you want more tips on coins that could be worth a fortune, or strategies for building your coin collection, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on more coin collecting tips, tricks, and the occasional treasure hunt. Let's keep the treasure hunt alive, folks. Well, guess what? You could be sitting on a literal gold mine and not even know it. How? By checking your piggy bank for a 1968 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Yep, that humble little coin could be worth, drumroll please, $1.9 million dollars. I know, it sounds like one of those clickbait headlines, but trust me, this is the real deal. Stick around and I'll tell you why it's so valuable, how you can spot it, and why this penny might be worth more than your entire coin collection and a down payment on a house. Alright, so first off, let's talk about how a regular, everyday penny turned into something so valuable. We've all had those pennies lying around, right? You find them in the couch cushions, in the bottom of your bag, or buried in a drawer so deep it's like they've been lost to time. Maybe you even thought, ugh, just a penny. It's worth a single cent. No big deal. But what if I told you that one of those pennies could actually be worth nearly 2 million bucks? That's right, $1.90 million. So here's the scoop on this magical little penny. The 1968 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny became insanely rare because of a mysterious error during its production. You see, back in 1968, the U.S. Mint was using a new style of dies, and somehow, a few of those pennies left the mint with a double die obverse error. That means the image of Lincoln's face and the words "In God We Trust" got doubled. And that tiny little mistake made these coins extremely rare and valuable. And guess what? That's where the Mint Mark D comes in, because it was minted in Denver. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, right. I've got a jar full of old pennies. I bet my 1968 D penny isn't worth anything. But listen up, this isn't a find one in every roll situation. In fact, these double die errors are so rare that only a handful of these pennies are out there. A coin like that could go for up to $1.9 million if it's in pristine condition, and I'm not just pulling numbers out of a hat. This has actually happened. One lucky collector sold their 1968 D for nearly $2 million. So before you toss those pennies into the wishing well of your wallet, let's talk about how you can check if you've got one of these golden, well, copper nuggets. Alright, so here's the fun part. How do you spot this elusive coin? First, take a look at the date. If it's 1968, great. Next, flip the coin over and check out the mint mark. It should be right below the date on the front of the coin. If it's a D, you're on the right track. Now, to check if it's a double die error, you'll want to carefully examine the letters and Lincoln's face. You should be able to see some slight doubling, a faint ghosting of the letters and Lincoln's features. If it looks like it's been printed twice, bingo, you could have a winner on your hands. Now, I know you're probably thinking, but wait, I've never seen this doubling before. Does that mean I'm out of luck? Not necessarily. Sometimes, it's subtle. If you've got a good magnifying glass or a digital microscope, you can spot it a little more easily. You'd be amazed at how many people overlook these coins because they're just not looking close enough. Trust me, it happened to me once, and I almost tossed a coin away because I didn't think it was worth anything. I was cleaning up my garage, sifting through old junk, when I came across a dusty, old penny jar. I figured it was just a bunch of random pennies, maybe a few dimes, but I noticed something strange about one of the 1968 D pennies. After taking a closer look, boom, I saw the doubling, and it was like finding a golden ticket in a chocolate bar. Sure, I didn't find a $1.9 million penny, but I learned a valuable lesson about being thorough. Alright, folks, here's the deal. If you're lucky enough to have one of these 1968 D Lincoln pennies in your collection, don't just let it sit in a jar collecting dust. Get it checked out by a professional and maybe, just maybe, you'll be cashing in on a life-changing discovery. And hey, if you found this info useful, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more tips on rare coins, valuable collectibles, and all things money-making in the world of numismatics. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next big find. And who knows, the next video could be the one that turns you into the next coin millionaire. Do you have a 2020 D Lincoln penny in your change jar? Well, hold on tight because what you thought was just pocket change might actually be worth something that'll make you go, what? Yes, you heard me right. This little penny could be worth up to $2 million. I know, it sounds crazy, but stick with me, because today we're diving deep into this shiny little treasure and why it's sending shockwaves through the world of coin collecting. Buckle up, folks. We've got some serious penny business to discuss. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's get into it. Alright, before you run to the bank and start flipping through every penny you've got, Let me give you the full story on why this 2020D penny is so valuable. It's not just your average coin. No, no. There's a reason why this bad boy is worth up to $2 million, and it's all about a little thing called the minting error. You see, normally, the mint mark on a penny is a tiny little D that tells us the coin was made in Denver. But in 2020, a small number of these pennies came off the production line with a very weird flaw, an error that made the mint mark appear faintly or, in some cases, completely missing. Now, you're probably thinking, what's the big deal? It's just a little smudge, right? Well, turns out that smudge could mean big bucks. Collectors are absolutely losing their minds over these pennies. Why? Because errors like this are pretty rare, and as we all know, rare equals valuable. And here's where things get interesting. These 2020D pennies with the minting error have been popping up in auctions, with some selling for as much as $2 million. Yep, you heard me, $2 million. If you have one of these in your collection, you might want to check under your couch cushions and double-check your change jar right now. I mean, who wouldn't want to find a $2 million penny, right? Talk about a surprise payday. But as much as we'd all love to find a gold mine in our spare change, it's not as easy as just grabbing any 2020D penny and hoping it's worth a fortune. The truth is, there are some things you need to look for to figure out if your penny has the potential to rake in the big bucks. First, you'll need to inspect that mint mark. If it's clear and bold, it's a regular penny. But if it's faint, worn down, or missing altogether, well, congratulations. You've got a possible winner. But don't just stop there. Make sure the rest of the coin looks good. A clean, well-preserved penny is going to fetch a better price than one that's all scratched up or covered in gunk. Because let's be real, no one's paying top dollar for a penny that looks like it was used as a hockey puck in a game of street hockey. So, keep those pennies in good shape. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, I'm never going to find a penny worth $2 million. Trust me, I've been there. A few years ago, I found a penny at the bottom of my change jar that I thought might be worth something. I thought, hey, maybe it's got a minting error. I rushed to the internet, did some research, and, spoiler alert, I got super excited, only to find out it was just a regular penny, and I'd wasted an hour of my life looking up penny errors. Yeah, it's happened to all of us. But hey, that's part of the fun of collecting coins, right? Sometimes you strike gold, and sometimes you find out your gold is just a shiny copper disc. But don't let that stop you from searching for those hidden gems. The hunt is half the fun, and who knows? Your next coin could be a jackpot. If you've got a 2020D penny with that mint error, it's worth checking out, because you just might be holding onto a small fortune. So, if you want to learn more about coins that are worth money, tips on how to spot valuable pennies, and some wild stories from the world of coin collecting, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You won't want to miss out on any future tips. And hey, while you're at it, maybe start checking your change a little more carefully. You never know when you'll find that $2 million penny. You're digging through a jar of old pennies you've had stashed away for years. You find a 1971 penny, shrug, and toss it back into the pile, until, bam, you learn that one of those pennies could be worth a jaw-dropping $2.10 million. Sounds insane, right? But it's true. Stick around because today we're diving deep into the 1971 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, its shocking value, and why you might want to start taking a closer look at that jar of old change sitting in your drawer. The basics all right, let's back up a bit and talk about this penny. The 1971 Abraham Lincoln penny is a coin minted in 1971 by the U.S. Mint in San Francisco. If you're looking for it, you'll spot the mint mark under Abraham Lincoln's bust on the front. Now, if you're just casually browsing through your change, this might seem like just another penny, right? I mean, pennies are, well, pennies. Nothing to get too excited about. But here's the twist. While most of these coins are worth a few cents, there's a rare version of the 1971 penny that skyrocketed in value, and I mean skyrocketed. The $1 million penny. So, why in the world would a 1971 penny be worth $2.1 million? It all comes down to a specific variety. You see, most 1971 pennies are just regular business strike coins, meaning they were produced for general circulation. but a small handful were actually struck using proof quality dies, meaning they were minted with a higher standard of precision. This small detail changes everything. These proof-like pennies have a sharp, mirror-like finish and are far rarer than their regular counterparts. And when one of these pennies was sold in 2019 for $2.1 million at auction, coin collectors around the world started paying attention. Now, I'm not saying you'll find one of these coins in your pocket change, but here's the thing. There's a lot of value hidden in coins that seem pretty ordinary at first glance. If you're looking through your change, or better yet, cleaning out that old jar you've been ignoring for years, keep your eyes peeled. You never know what you might stumble upon. How to spot it so? How do you spot the 1971 S penny that could make you a millionaire? It's all about the details. First off, look for that S mint mark. This tells you it was minted in San Francisco. Then, pay attention to the finish. Proof-like pennies will have a smooth, mirror-like shine, which is way different from the duller, matte appearance of regular pennies. They were originally made for collectors, not for circulation, so they're rarer. And like anything rare, that means big bucks. My penny finding story now. Let me share a quick story. Back in the day, I was convinced that all I had to do was keep a few pennies around and I'd find something valuable. So, I made it my mission to collect old pennies and check them over. One day, I found a 1943 steel penny in my change. I got so excited, thinking it was worth a fortune, but turns out I had misidentified it. It was a regular steel penny, not the rare copper one that could have been worth thousands. But you know what? That moment taught me an important lesson. The hunt is just as fun as the find. The more you learn about these coins and study their details, the better your chances of finding a true gem. And let's face it, the thrill of discovery is what keeps us all hooked on coin collecting, right? Why you should care about the 1971 S penny now, let's be real for a second. You might not pull a $2.1 million penny out of your pocket tomorrow, but understanding what makes certain coins valuable can make a huge difference in your coin collection or just your knowledge. As you start to pay more attention, you'll realize that coins like the 1971 S aren't the only valuable pieces out there. Heck, even some modern coins and rare errors can be worth a pretty penny. Pun totally intended. Call to action so. What's the moral of the story? Start paying attention to your pennies, dimes, nickels, and quarters, because you never know which one could be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. And hey, if you want to keep learning about coins that are worth more than you'd think, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll keep bringing you tips, tricks, and stories to help you grow your coin collection. Or maybe even retire early, who knows? Thanks for hanging out with me today, and until next time, keep those coins in check, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find your own $2.1 million penny. Alright, folks, get ready for a wild ride because we're about to talk about a penny that could make you richer than you ever thought possible. No, I'm not talking about a gold coin or some rare foreign treasure. I'm talking about a humble penny, yeah, this one. The 1992 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. You might have one sitting in your jar right now, or you might have a pile of them in the back of your drawer. But here's the kicker. That one little penny could be worth a whopping $2.2 million today. Yes, you heard that right. $2 million. Sounds too good to be true? Stick around, because we're about to break this down for you and show you how your pocket change could change your life. Let's go. Now, let's get into the nuts and bolts of why this 1992 penny is such a big deal. First things first, you're probably wondering, what makes this penny worth so much? Well, the answer comes down to something that should be really obvious, but clearly wasn't: the mint mark. In 1992, the US Mint made a huge mistake, a printing error, if you will. See, every penny that's been minted in the United States has a mint mark, which tells you where it was made. Most of the time, it's either a D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia. But in 1992, a tiny batch of pennies was produced without any mint mark at all. Nothing, zip, zilch. It's like the mint forgot to put their signature on a rare art piece. Now, these aren't your average pennies. They were released into circulation, and for most people, they just blended in with the other coins in their pocket. But, as it turns out, this error made those little bad boys extremely rare. And what's rare? Well, it's valuable. A penny that you could have found in your spare change could actually be worth millions. And that's not just a coin collector's dream, it's reality. Take a look at this image. You see that smooth, blank spot where the mint mark should be? Yeah, that's what you want to look for. It's a tiny detail, but it's a game changer. The kicker? These coins don't just sit around waiting to be found. They're rare, really rare. In fact, according to most estimates, only about 2 to 3 of these error pennies are in existence, and that rarity? That's what makes them so valuable. And as time goes on, the value just keeps going up. Now, let me tell you about a little story. I've always been into collecting coins. I remember when I first started, probably about 10 years ago, sifting through my change like some sort of treasure hunter. One day, I found this weird-looking coin. It looked like a regular penny, but the color was a little off. I remember thinking, oh cool, maybe I found some rare penny. I didn't think much of it though. I just tossed it in a jar with the rest of my coins, like every other person does, right? Fast forward a few years later, I'm watching a video just like this one, and the host casually mentioned something about rare pennies. Suddenly, I remember that penny I found. So, I pull it out, look at the details, and I swear my heart stopped. It was a 1980-something penny, but the one thing that stuck out was that the mint mark was nowhere to be found. Turns out it was a rare mistake penny, not a 1992 one, but it's worth some serious cash too. Moral of the story? Never underestimate a penny, because you never know when you might have found a small fortune. So let's say you've got one of these bad boys in your pocket or your jar. What do you do with it? First off, don't just spend it like it's another regular penny. Keep it safe, check the condition, and maybe even consider getting it graded. If it's in good shape and it's one of those ultra-rare no-mint mark varieties, you might want to send it to a professional grader to get its true value appraised. A penny in perfect condition could easily net you thousands, and who knows, maybe you're holding the next $2.2 million gem. Alright, so there you have it, folks. A tiny, seemingly insignificant penny from 1992 could be sitting in your change jar right now, and if it's a no-mint mark penny, it could make you a lot richer than you ever expected. Imagine stumbling upon this coin and turning it into a small fortune. But remember, not every penny you find is a $2.2 million treasure. So, always keep your eyes peeled for those rare coins. And hey, if you're serious about coin collecting, why not subscribe for more tips and strategies on finding coins worth money? I'll be sharing more secrets like this one, and who knows? Your next big find could be just around the corner. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the next treasure hunting adventure. And hey, if you've ever found a coin worth a crazy amount of money, drop a comment below and share your story. Have you ever thought your spare change could make you rich? Well, let me tell you, there's a penny out there that could be worth more than your car, your house, and maybe even your entire life savings combined. Sound crazy? Stay with me, because this is one story that's going to make you look at your pocket change in a whole new light. I'm talking about the 1987 Abraham Lincoln penny. Yes, you heard that right, without a mint mark. And guess what? It's worth a jaw-dropping $2.3 million. No, I'm not joking. So, get comfortable, because today we're diving deep into this unbelievable coin, why it's so valuable, and how you can make sure you're not missing out on that hidden treasure in your change jar. Alright, let's start from the top. So, what in the world makes a simple 1987 penny, a coin that you've probably seen a million times, worth a whopping $2.30 million? Well, here's the deal. Normally, every penny minted in the US has a mint mark. That little letter, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, tells you where the coin was made. But in 1987, something crazy happened. A small batch of pennies was struck without a mint mark at all. Now, you might be thinking, wait, I thought coins without mint marks were just mistakes, right? Why is this one so valuable? That's exactly what makes it so valuable. The lack of a mint mark is an error, and people go wild for error coins. It's rare. It's unusual. And when it comes to collectibles, rare and unusual mean one thing: serious money. Think about it like this. It's like finding a misprint on your favorite baseball card. There's a small group of collectors who desperately want it, and they're willing to pay big for it. We're talking big numbers here. $2.3 million BIG. So, why didn't everyone catch it at the time? Well, most people just tossed their pennies in a jar or gave them to the cashier without ever knowing that this seemingly insignificant coin could one day be worth more than a mansion. But don't worry, I'm here to make sure none of you miss out on that kind of treasure. Now, let me tell you about a time when I got a little too excited over a coin I thought was rare. I was at a flea market, and I spotted this ancient coin in a small box. The seller said, "It's from the early 1900s. I'll let it go for $50. My heart skipped a beat. I thought I had found a hidden gem. I bought it in a heartbeat, took it home, and spent the next week researching it like a maniac. Guess what? Turns out, it was just a modern reproduction. Yep, nothing worth more than the $50 I spent on it. But hey, it was a great learning experience. But that's exactly why you have to be careful and do your homework, because there are a lot of rare coins out there, like the 1987 penny, that are genuinely worth something big. But you won't find them unless you know what to look for. So, let's talk about how to find one of these mythical 1987 pennies. First off, you've got to pay attention to detail. Look for a penny from 1987 that has no mint mark. These are harder to find. But when you do, you're going to want to get that coin inspected by a professional. If you think you've got a potential $2.3 million penny sitting in your change jar, don't just take my word for it. Get it checked out. Also, make sure the coin is in good condition. The higher the grade, the more it's worth. So, if you find a mint condition 1987 no mint mark penny, it could be in that rare, super valuable category. But don't stress out if it's a bit worn out. Even a worn one could still fetch a decent amount, though maybe not the full $2.3 million. But hey, a few $100s is still nothing to sneeze at, right? Now, I know you're probably wondering, how can I keep up with all these coin finds? How can I make sure I'm not missing out? Well, let me give you the most important tip. Keep your eyes open. Sometimes, the most valuable coins are hiding right under your nose in that jar of old change. And the best way to stay ahead of the game? Subscribe to my channel, because I'll be dropping tips on coins worth money, how to spot the valuable ones, and how to cash in on them, without making the same mistake I did at the flea market. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on your chance to score big like the lucky person who found that 1987 penny worth $2.30 million. So, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new, and remember, one day, your next penny might just change your life. Keep hunting and happy collecting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep those eyes peeled for that treasure. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny is just a penny, right? I mean, it's like that one guy in your friend group who shows up to every party, says nothing, and just kind of hangs around. It's small, it's ignored, and it's never the star of the show. But, hold up. What if I told you that one of those seemingly insignificant pennies could be worth, wait for it, $2.4 million? Yes, you heard me right, $2.4 million for a single penny. I know you're probably wondering, how is that even possible? Well, buckle up, because today, we're diving into the incredible story of the 1970 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and how this tiny coin made history and money. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll be rifling through your change jar to see if you're sitting on a gold mine. All right, let's rewind a bit. The year is 1970. Nixon's in office, we've got the Beatles breaking up, and people are rocking some seriously questionable fashion choices. Bell-bottoms? Anyone? But in the world of coins, something much more significant was happening. The 1970 D. Lincoln penny, which was minted in Denver, had a bit of a, flaw. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't a big flaw. It was more like a small error, one that would go unnoticed by most people. So here's the deal. The 1970 D penny was supposed to have a clean, crisp mint mark, a small D, indicating it was made in Denver. But due to some machinery malfunction, some of those mint marks were, well, a little off. Instead of the usual crisp D, these coins ended up with a sort of weak or even partially missing mint mark. This led to a rare, incredibly scarce mistake. The 1970 D no mint mark penny. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool story, but why should I care? Well, here's where it gets wild. The 1970 D penny isn't just a cool piece of history. If you've got one of those error coins, it could be worth up to $2.4 million today. Yes, I said it, $2.4 million. That's not a typo. And that's because the combination of rarity and the error make it incredibly valuable to collectors. I remember the first time I heard about this penny. I was at a local coin shop, just browsing around because, let's face it, I'm a total nerd when it comes to this stuff. I was chatting with the owner when he casually mentions this 1970 D penny that sold for millions. I thought, no way, that's gotta be a scam or something. But nope, turns out he wasn't kidding. And you know what? I immediately started going through every coin I had at home to see if I'd missed out on my $1 million ticket. Spoiler alert, I didn't find one. But hey, it was still a fun treasure hunt, so what does this mean for you? If you've got any 1970 pennies sitting around, especially ones from Denver, it's worth taking a second look at them. The key feature to look for is that mint mark. A perfect one will look clear and well-formed. If it's weak or missing entirely, you might have yourself a gold mine, or should I say, a copper mine. Now, let me be clear here. Not every 1970 D penny is going to be worth millions. In fact, most of them are probably going to be worth, well, about a penny. But the important takeaway here is that you never know what hidden treasure might be sitting in your pocket change. Coins like this 1970 D-era penny remind us that the world of coin collecting isn't just about big, shiny rarities. It's about paying attention to the small stuff and looking for those little mistakes that make a coin truly unique. And hey, if you want more tips on how to spot coins worth money, strategies for building your collection, and maybe even find that next $1 million gem, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be here, sharing all the tips and tricks to help you on your journey to becoming a coin connoisseur. And who knows, maybe one of these days, you'll stumble upon a penny that changes your life. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, always check your change. You never know when you'll strike it rich. Ever think that that old penny sitting in your jar could be worth more than your car? Yeah, you heard me right. Today, we're talking about a 1968 S Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's worth a jaw-dropping $2.5 million. No joke. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, didn't pennies stop being worth, well, a penny a long time ago? Well, I'm here to blow your mind with a story of a coin that could just change your financial future. If you happen to have one lying around. And no, I'm not trying to sell you a bridge. But this penny might just be worth more than that, depending on how much luck you have. So grab that jar of coins you've been ignoring, and let's dive into the world of collectible pennies. But first, before you start scouring your change jar, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another mind-blowing coin tip. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on what's coming next. Alright, let's start with the basics. You're probably thinking, 1968? That's not that old. What's so special about that penny? Well, hang on tight because this isn't your average everyday Lincoln penny. The 1968 S penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint, and here's where things get interesting. A small percentage of these pennies have a rare minting error that makes them super valuable, like money hands waving in the air valuable. Host pulls up an image of the penny on screen, zooming in on the S Mint mark. Now, what makes this error penny stand out? Well, the die used to strike it had some kind of flaw, somewhere along the line. A couple of 1968 pennies got an extra layer of copper plating, and voila, these bad boys are worth millions today. Let's talk about the key error that turns this penny into a gold mine. The 1968 S penny isn't just rare because it was minted in San Francisco. Nope. It's all about the fact that a small number were mistakenly struck with the wrong type of copper coating. Instead of the standard mix, these coins ended up being overplated, making them not only rare but also precious to collectors. Think of it like buying a sandwich at a deli, but they accidentally give you a 5-course meal. You're gonna want to keep it. I swear, every time I stumble upon something like this, I can't help but laugh. I once found a bunch of old change in my couch cushions, and guess what? Not a single $2.5 million penny. But that didn't stop me from feeling like I was the king of coins for a whole afternoon. I think the real lesson here is, you just never know where treasure is hiding. Host, now, here's the kicker. If you happen to have a 1968 S penny in pristine condition with the error, then you might be sitting on a small fortune. Think of it like the coin equivalent of finding a hidden stash of treasure in your backyard, except without the need for a metal detector. These pennies can go for as much as $2.5 million. Yeah, that's right. I said million. So how do you know if yours is worth that kind of cash? Let's break it down. First off, the coin's condition is everything. If it's in great shape, with minimal wear and tear, it could be worth upwards of $2.5 million. But if it's got some wear, don't freak out. It's still worth something. Even a regular 1968 penny can go for a few $100 if it's got the right features and has been well maintained. So, you're probably asking, how do I check my pennies without making a fool of myself in front of my friends? Well, here's the deal. First, take a close look at the S mint mark. Is it sharp, clear, and crisp? Then check for any unusual markings. If you notice anything strange, or if the coin looks unusually shiny or heavy, you could have something special. Don't rush the process. This is a treasure hunt, not a sprint. I always tell people to get a good magnifying glass, or even a jeweler's loupe, because those little details are everything. I once had a friend who swore his penny was special because it was just really shiny, but it turned out he had just dropped it in a bowl of soup. Trust me, it happens. Okay, so you've got a potential gold mine on your hands. Now, what do you do with it? Well, first, don't just rush to eBay or start showing it off to your neighbors. You'll want to have it appraised by a professional, like a reputable coin dealer or auction house, who can verify the authenticity of the error and give you an accurate value. Online tools and guides are great for a quick peek at the general value, but nothing beats having an expert give it the once-over. I had a penny once, thought it was worth a fortune, but turns out it wasn't nearly as rare as I hoped. It's like finding out your vintage vinyl album is a fake. Totally heartbreaking. But hey, better than getting your hopes up. All right, folks, there you have it. Your 1968 Lincoln Penny could be worth as much as $2.5 million if you're lucky enough to have one of those rare overplated errors. But even if it's not worth millions, don't be discouraged. There's a whole world of valuable coins out there, just waiting to be discovered. So before you throw that old jar of pennies in the trash or roll them up for your next trip to the bank, think twice. You never know. Your next coin could be your ticket to a nice vacation. Or, who knows, maybe even an early retirement. If you found this video helpful and maybe a little entertaining, don't forget to hit subscribe and tap that bell icon so you don't miss out on more coin tips, tricks, and all-around fun. And hey, drop a comment below if you found a crazy valuable coin yourself. I love hearing your stories. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep your eyes on the coins, because you never know when the next one could make you a millionaire.